problem with that. Acting up here don't really mean to me unless you're going to fight me here now.
I don't think that Jake would have enough time, seeing as he's already undersized. He's not a real heavyweight, and this is Anthony Joshua we're talking about.
Take a punch, really. If he takes a big punch from Jake Paul, if he gets hurt in any way by Jake Paul, if he doesn't absolutely ice Jake Paul within a few rounds of this.
At a press meeting, things got heated when Anthony Joshua called out Jake Paul for what he felt was disrespect. The heavyweight champion grew frustrated and told Paul directly that he didn't agree with what he was saying or doing.
People we're going to fight now.
There was a lot of discussion surrounding Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua before their tense press meeting, with many experts weighing in on the risks and potential outcome of the fight. Barry McGuigan, a respected trainer, was particularly firm in his view, stressing how uneasy even seasoned fighters can become when facing someone like Jake Paul. After decades around top heavyweights, McGuigan believes that a single clean punch can completely shift the momentum of a fight, highlighting just how dangerous this matchup could turn out to be.
You know, AJ's grabbing the bag. There's nothing wrong with that, because anybody else, if they got offered that kind of money, they would do it. So, yep. And some people are suggesting it might damage his legacy. Where do you sit with the decision of him taking that fight? And it's a professional 8-round fight as well.
Yes, it's a highly dangerous fight for Jake Paul. I don't know what he's doing, unless they have done some sort of caveat or some sort of agreement that he says he's going to go easy on him, or he's not going to go flat out. But you know, I've been tossing this up and down in my mind and trying to figure how, and under God, when he had agreed to fight someone like Tank Davis, who is, you know, several divisions below him. That's more like what Jake Paul does. And then he goes from there to fighting Anthony Joshua. I mean, just look at what happened to Francis Ngannou, who's a big, athletic, tough guy and had gone 12 rounds with Tyson Fury and given him a real ding-dong. And then he gets absolutely obliterated in a round and a half against Joshua. That shows you, despite the fact that he's been knocked out since by Daniel Dubois, who could knock out anybody, by the way, in any weight division or in any era of the heavyweight division. He's such a powerful guy; he could knock anybody out if he hits them properly. But you know, it just seems.
Wade, the host of the Wade Concept podcast, claims he's uncovered Jake Paul's secret weapon for the upcoming clash with Anthony Joshua. According to Wade, Jake has been quietly sparring with full-sized heavyweights to prepare for Joshua's size, strength, and world-class experience. These sessions are giving Paul a chance to sharpen his timing, improve his strategy, and feel the reality of true heavyweight power. By working with fighters who mirror Joshua's attributes, Jake is tailoring his training to the exact challenges he'll face on fight night.
If you're Jake Paul, who hasn't fought someone in the realistically, the top 50, I know Tommy Fury is ranked in the top 50, but anyone that is a top 50 fighter, even in your weight class, let alone a top 10, top 5 heavyweight in Anthony Joshua, who was a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Can you get prepared for a guy like that if you brought in, let's just say, a deity, freaking Zeus, Hercules, whoever, to prepare you? Could you do it? I don't think that Jake would have enough time, seeing as he's already undersized. He's not a real heavyweight, and this is Anthony fucking Joshua we're talking about. But I will say there were rumors going around that Jake was not taking this fight as seriously as he needed to. That Jake was dilly-dallying, flying to go see F1 in Miami after his press conference, and then going to see his girl all the way in the Netherlands if she's trying to qualify for, I think, the Olympics or something else. There was this post from his girlfriend. I don't know if, again, this was in the Netherlands or where it was at, or maybe this is an old picture, but Jake flying around the world when he has a fight in about 4 weeks is probably not the greatest look, and it doesn't seem to make it look like he's taking it as serious as he needs to. Locked away in the gyms of Puerto Rico. Now, again, that could have been a different picture. That could have been something else, but that's pretty shocking to see. With that being said, I want to push back on that because I do think Jake is taking this as seriously as he absolutely needs to, because this is not only the toughest fight of his career, it's the most dangerous to the longevity of his career, to his health and well-being. And so to do something like that, you need to bring in the best help possible to get ready. We already heard that Jake Paul was preparing for Anthony Joshua by sparring the guy that Anthony Joshua was about to fight in Cassius Chaney. This gentleman right here, who was 24-3 from B-More, aka the DMV, and apparently is a top 100 heavyweight, even though it doesn't.
Spencer Oliver, a former professional fighter and analyst, looks at the upcoming fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul from a different point of view. Speaking in front of a group of experts, Oliver warns that this matchup is about more than simply winning, stressing that it carries important meaning for the sport itself. His comparison to Muhammad Ali's era is striking because Ali often chose unusual fights that drew attention from people far beyond regular boxing fans. Oliver explains that if Joshua agrees to face Jake Paul, he will find himself in a similar position to Ali, where pure professional competition and entertainment value blend together. People who normally ignore heavyweight bouts might become interested in boxing after watching this crossover clash, and it will also test Joshua's ability to stay mentally sharp in an unexpected environment. The fight represents a major moment for boxing because it connects longtime traditional fans with the younger, tech-savvy audience. Oliver's reference to Ali's unpredictable matchups highlights how big events can attract massive global attention and bring new viewers into the sport. By entering this space, Joshua is attempting to reach a wider crowd, including younger fans who may only know Jake Paul through social media and online platforms. This crossover appeal could increase awareness of the sport and open the door to greater revenue and sponsorship opportunities. Some experts believe the cultural impact might be just as significant as the fight itself, turning this moment into a potential milestone in the history of professional boxing.
Team.
Totally agree with that.
So I'm kind of, whilst I don't like it, and I don't like the way that Jake Paul gravitates to these brilliant athletes and like a moth sucks the life out of them because he gets the benefit of association, because I think they deserve all the association. But he is a and there is opportunity there, isn't there?
Listen, commercially, of course it works because it will be huge and there'll be a load of money on the table. And for Anthony Joshua, it's like sort of, he's going to get rewarded very well with no risk, minimal risk, no risk at all. He's going to go in there and he may then put all this stuff to bed with Jake Paul and calling out all these different champions, etc., etc. So, of course it works. And when you're talking about, the credibility that Joshua's going to get, he's not going to get none now, but are people going to remember that? Of course they're not. Like, when he goes on to do what he does, didn't Muhammad Ali have some sort of strange fight in the middle of his career? Didn't he box? Yeah, he did. He boxed some non-boxing guy and whatnot. Like, people don't remember.
A veteran boxing analyst named Gareth A. Davies expressed deep concern about the safety of the fight, pointing out the huge differences in weight and experience between the fighters, which makes the matchup seem far from safe for a professional ring. Davies warns that a real contest could become dangerous, especially if Joshua lands heavy shots early on. While he finds the idea of a social media star stepping in against a seasoned heavyweight interesting, the physical risks make the concept extremely uncertain. Davies and other experts insist that regulatory bodies and event organizers must thoroughly examine all safety measures because a poorly judged fight could lead to serious consequences for both competitors.
There is a danger in this fight. The odds are Joshua's 1-12. Obviously, Jake Paul is 6-1. Yeah, to win this fight in a 2-horse race in which this is a guy who lost to Tyson Fury's brother, in an 8-round fight, who, for me, I wrote that it would damage his legacy a week ago. It will damage his legacy for several reasons. If the Deontay Wilder fight never emerges, which it looks like it isn't, I've been calling for that fight for ages. If those two got in a ring together, it's still a massive fight. It's a dangerous fight to sanction, in my view. Sets the wrong precedent. It is 10-ounce gloves. It is a boxing match. It's not an exhibition. This isn't a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. This is one of the most dangerous finishers in the world, who is probably 5 levels above Jake Paul and a weight division above him. I think it's irresponsible to let those two in a ring together in a proper boxing match. That's my view. It doesn't damage his bank balance.
The fight is broken down by boxing analysts who point out Jake Paul's lack of experience, limited talent, and absence of natural skill. They believe that despite his confidence, Paul is nowhere near the level of giants like Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. Joshua and Wilder are among the rare heavyweights whose timing, accuracy, and explosive power can change the entire direction of a fight in a single moment. Analysts like Angelo and Josh emphasize that these abilities come from years of intense training and a natural physical advantage that smaller or less experienced fighters simply cannot match. They insist that bravery is not the same as true talent, and while Paul may be bold and self-assured, that confidence cannot replace the craft, depth, and high-level experience that seasoned heavyweight professionals bring into the ring.
Highest level, and I don't think he beat the top 5, top 6 guys. But that in that weight class is where he'd be at, like say 180, 188 or 189, somewhere around there is where he'd probably compete. There's not a lot of talent there though, so he might be pretty good in those weight classes. Him competing in the heavyweight division against like Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua or anybody else, no, he gets annihilated. I'm very surprised he signed this fight.
I was shocked he signed this fight. Yeah. I texted my buddy Bo, because Bo follows boxing really well, and I texted him. I was like, dude, we might see a death. And he said the same thing. He's like, I cannot believe he agreed to that fight. But the numbers, the numbers that are, nobody knows the true payouts. They're saying it's around $200 million that they're splitting evenly. So they're getting about $100 million each. He said that it was $267 million. So I don't know who you believe or don't believe, or it could be they're splitting 200 and the 67 delta, they had to pay DAZN because Anthony Joshua has a contract with DAZN, and this fight's going to be on Netflix. DAZN.
It's DAZN.
So they, which makes, how the hell?
Please stop saying DAZN, okay? That's like Saint Benoit, okay?
Where's the O in DAZN?
It's the zone.
Well, there's no O or no E at the end either. But so they basically had the
He explains that the risks in this fight are not one-sided, emphasizing his perspective as a boxing analyst. While much discussion focuses on the danger Jake Paul faces against an experienced champion, experts highlight that Anthony Joshua is also at risk. Even a minor lapse in performance or judgment could give Paul an opening, potentially damaging Joshua's reputation despite being favored to win. Specifically, analysts note that for a fighter of Joshua's stature, any outcome short of a flawless victory could be perceived negatively rather than positively. The assessment underlines that the bout is far from a guaranteed showcase for the champion, and both fighters have significant stakes regarding their public image and professional legacy.
Even if Joshua wins this fight, it has to be perfect. There cannot be a moment of hesitation from Anthony Joshua. He can't look mentally shot. He can't take a punch, really. If he takes a big punch from Jake Paul, if he gets hurt in any way by Jake Paul, if he doesn't absolutely ice Jake Paul within a few rounds of this 8-round scheduled bout, well then it really affects his credibility. All the things that have ever been said about him, he's a hype job, he's been coddled. He didn't really want to fight Deontay Wilder when they were both in their prime. He's just a big bodybuilder, as Tyson Fury loves to put it. Anyone who's ever doubted him will have absolute ability to do so. And so the fact that this is actually a sanctioned fight, it tells me that Anthony Joshua cannot be going in there or will not go in there and try to carry Jake Paul. Otherwise, it might as well just be an exhibition. If he does go in there and carry Jake Paul, my fear for him is that most people will not be aware that that's what he's doing. Reputationally, it would just cause serious damage. And like I say, I think the only way he comes out of this unscathed, reputationally, is by going in there and securing a clean knockout. Anthony Joshua can't do anything to boost how people view him as a boxer in this fight. All it can do is damage him unless he's punch perfect. He's fighting someone who realistically has nothing to lose and absolutely everything to gain. And that in itself can be dangerous, it can be risky. And given that Jake Paul has achieved so little, given that Anthony Joshua wants to remain relevant and credible, so it seems, because he has a couple of potentially big fights left, especially against Tyson Fury, why is he doing this? He doesn't want to jeopardize that, surely. Well, I can tell you exactly how I think he has rationalized this in his mind. The first thing is that he's going to get paid an absolute shed load of money. Around 50 million is what we're hearing. I've heard 50 million pounds, 50 million USD, but whatever happens, it's a significant amount of cash. Possibly will be one of his highest ever career paydays, possibly similar to what he'd make for a Tyson Fury fight. But for what? Like 1% of the risk?
Eddie Hearn, the promoter, discusses the fight from both strategic and financial perspectives, explaining why Anthony Joshua's deal is hard to refuse. Hearn points out that Joshua has already achieved nearly all the major milestones in the heavyweight division, making the substantial payday a natural incentive that far exceeds typical bouts. He describes the decision as a smart business move, emphasizing that in boxing, financial rewards and strategic considerations often align. For Joshua, the fight is less about necessity and more about leveraging his fame to maximize earnings while maintaining visibility, turning the matchup into a combination of sport, entertainment, and calculated business strategy.
And looking likely for December, what can you tell?
Yeah, not yet. I mean, there has been conversations, obviously. I think it comes down to how true, they are. Jake Paul is that he actually wants to fight. I mean, he's a madman if he wants to fight. But for some reason, and he thinks he can beat AJ. And I have to be honest, we were going to have a run out in December, over 8 rounds against a bloke you've never heard of. And we may end up having a run out against Jake Paul for a career high payday. I don't see how we can turn it down.
When I asked you about it a couple of days ago, you said that at that time you never really got into the financials. Have those been discussed now? Have you discussed the financial element?
Yeah, there has been some conversations around that, and it is, it's a huge amount of money. And I think AJ would be mad if he didn't do it, and I think he will do it if Jake Paul is genuine. We may wake up tomorrow with these people and they've announced another fight. Honestly, anything could happen. So I still can't get my head around the fact that this guy wants to challenge AJ. There's some respect to him if it's true, but we shall see.
To end on that note, I spoke to Alpha Shaman earlier. He said that himself or DAZN have had no conversations about AJ potentially taking that fight. Obviously, AJ is exclusive to DAZN. What's the situation with regards to that? Because I know
apparently the fight's done. Obviously, it's not done because those conversations have to take place. I'm very confident that I can have some positive conversations with DAZN. Obviously, we'll be on a clock, but it's a 50-50.
Last one from me. I saw Chris McKenna tweeted that Anthony Joshua currently doesn't have a British Boxing Board of Control licence. Obviously, it's not unusual for someone who isn't fighting currently, he's inactive, to let it run out. But he would have to apply for one to face Jake Paul again, and then they'd have to approve.
David Haye, a former world champion, highlights the unpredictable nature of boxing, warning that despite Joshua's significant advantages, the outcome of any fight is uncertain once the bell rings. He emphasizes that underestimating an opponent, regardless of their history or experience, can lead to unexpected results. Haye insists that even seasoned fighters must respect the abilities of anyone who enters the ring. While acknowledging that Jake Paul is a formidable opponent, he notes that the element of surprise adds intensity to the matchup, keeping both the audience and the fighters fully engaged and alert throughout the contest.
Really close, and then it was Jake and Tank, and now that's off for other reasons. Your initial reaction to the fact that December Miami might be on?
Yeah, jumping from Gervonta Davis all the way up to Anthony Joshua seems absurd. It doesn't seem like it's a reality.
Seems very Jake Paul.
It seems, but sometimes these crazy things. Who would have ever thought Francis Ngannou would get a shot against Tyson Fury? When we first started talking about it, it's like, that's never going to happen. And when it did, we saw Tyson Fury have a very, very tough night, getting knocked down and scraped through on points. Anything's possible in boxing. I think the chances of Jake Paul beating Anthony Joshua, I don't know, he's got a very, very low chance. I can't see any way that Jake Paul can win a boxing match with 10, 12-ounce gloves on with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, world champion, silver medalist, Olympic gold medalist, 2-time heavyweight champion. He's a top 10, top 5 in some people's arguments, heavyweight, and he hasn't gone that far over the hill. He's not Mike Tyson, nearly 60 years old. I can't see it happening, but if it can happen and AJ wants it, then obviously it's going to be a massive, massive payday as well as a massive spectacle. It would be an absolute crush box office numbers, and unfortunately for Jake, that will be potential.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for the next update.